Yep, yep. Laratuto. Silgoba fingowa. Gupa lupa. Koto ostoga.
What's up, everybody?
Use take two.
First day.
Ewok fur in your mouth. What do you been
First day. What's up, everybody? It's Wes, Hank, and Andy. Welcome to Sunday night. It's Tales from the Moon of Fandor, our little review series where we are looking at the 35 Years Young Ewoks, the animated series.
Yes.
This week, season 1, episode 8, The Land of the Gupins.
Mm-hmm.
We just danced 7, 8, 8, 7, 7,
7,
8,
8, 8, 7?
8.
It is 8. It is definitely 8. Yeah.
Yep.
I want to get into, I have a little bit more going on this week with this episode because I quite liked it, more so than I thought I would. But before we get into any of that, it is time to open the show with another dose of
Bad Star Wars jokes.
That's what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, what do you do if you spot an Ewok with half a head?
Ask him where the other half is. Where'd you get that half a head there, furball?
This kind of ties in with last week's joke.
A little bit.
Check the back of your own head to make sure that it's not yours.
Stop laughing and reload.
Right. Right. Oh my.
They just keep coming.
Oh my gosh, I just noticed we're back on Facebook this week.
We are. It actually loaded this week.
Strangely enough, this is just an aside. It has nothing to do with our show, but for the past, 3, 4...
Almost a month now.
Yeah, Facebook has been very finicky with how third-party streaming software has been working with it, and a lot of StreamYard users were reporting that they were having trouble getting to their page. We were one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some other weird ones where people were streaming through StreamYard to their Facebook pages, ended their streams, but Facebook kept it rolling. Some people were reporting 18-hour streams on their Facebook pages with nothing going on because they had logged out. Bye-bye.
Well, they're liable to give us a copyright strike for our hats or our shirts or something anyway. So
Yeah,
who knows
the algorithm,
how long
I
it'll be
don't
up.
know what fuels the algorithm on Facebook, and which seems to be quite more aggressively vigorous than, say, the YouTube one.
I say it's fueled by greed and hate.
We got struck.
Yeah, those. Yeah, they
we
do
got
sell
struck
those at
again.
Canadian Tire now.
On our Tuesday night stream, on our general pop culture streams that we do on Tuesday nights, our news magazine show, we got struck for. Sorry, that's not true. That's not true.
No, this one goes back a while. It went back to a video in April.
April of 24.
Yeah.
It is September. Just to remind everybody in case you've forgotten.
And it decided that Wes, instead of talking about the starship at Disney parks, it decided he was quoting from the Scarlet Letter.
Apparently, I was reading the Scarlet Letter.
The unabridged edition.
That's awesome.
We're talking shuttles and Disney theme parks, but no.
No.
Reading the Scarlet Letter.
Yeah.
What?
That's amazing.
I don't get it.
Yeah, we
I don't
disputed
get it.
that one.
I mean, we are high literature.
Is that
but come
cleared
on.
yet?
No,
it
no,
hasn't
it has
cleared
not
yet.
cleared
Okay,
yet.
well, funny stuff. Anyway,
Yeah, go watch it. He's not talking about the Scarlet Letter.
no, and nor will I ever, by that for that matter. The Land of the Gupins. Now we had some fun with the last episode that featured a Gupin, and of course that was Canadian comedian legend Ron James,
Mm-hmm.
who did not want to do our show because he essentially can't remember anything about it, which is fine. But lo and behold, as Hanky had said to me before we went live tonight, Strange, you had an entire episode.
An entire episode.
And
And then I also said,
like, where he was central to it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh, you're doing okay if there are parts of your career you can just like
that you can afford to
forget.
forget.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
maybe
You're doing
want to
okay.
forget. I don't know.
Well, maybe.
I always like to start these shows by asking you guys just lightly and gently what we thought of the episode. You liked it, you didn't like it, you're ambivalent about it. Where are we this week on Land of the Gupins?
You want to go first, Hank?
Sure. I mean, it felt long again. So I don't know if we're hitting like repetitive territory in terms of the whole show. Like, do we need to breathe some kind of new life into what's happening? It felt I don't know. It felt long. Like there was a lot of plots woven into this one. Like it might have been spread out over a few episodes. Hard to
I
say.
can definitely.
I'm enjoying. I'm having a great time with them.
I feel you on that one. On the seemingly longer and feeling like this could
It
have
just
been
felt
more
longer.
than
I
one.
was like, oh, it's still 22 minutes, spot on.
Yeah,
Right? Like
yeah,
all
yeah.
of them are. But it had that, and maybe that's a good thing because they're effectively telling a story, and the 22-minute confinement is really, it's tight. It's a tight schedule to tell a concise, beginning, middle, and end act. So
I like this one, but again, more examples of just how much on Endor can kill you.
That has been, and we
It's
make
like a running joke.
We make light of it, but it's absolutely true. Like it seems like every episode, like when you're talking about something that was introduced in Return of the Jedi, and really we didn't see anything else but the Ewoks.
The only thing on Endor that could kill you was the Ewoks.
Right. And so like how do you flesh out an animated series about the Ewoks and their homeworld? Like what are the antagonists going to be? Well, clearly, and then we've made light of that too. They all crashed on the same shuttle, or it's the environment itself. And
right.
This is another episode where the environment.
I guess they're working very, to distinguish themselves from the light and fluffy Care Bear reality. They made Endor the
what's really funny
craziest
though,
place in the galaxy.
We've had these sort of Care Bear, we've dipped in and out of Care Bears, certainly because the animation studios are like, it was Nelvana that did both shows. So naturally we've got some of the same talent working on both shows. But then it's like this episode, like there's some visual cues that I see this and I immediately think of another animated property.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hell yeah.
When we get there, I've written it into my notes.
I really wonder with these, were these like spin-off attempts, like the multiple attempts at the Jindas, the multiple attempts at the Gupins. Was this an attempt at a third Endor-based star?
No, absolutely. And this episode, more than any other, I looked at it and I had to remember, okay, Ewoks came out in 1985. The other things that it reminded me of, I had to ask myself, what year did these other properties come out and who's influenced by who in these cases, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like, it should come as no surprise that anybody who's watched this episode recently, the Transformers, like, oh, you said the thing.
Yeah.
You said the thing. And you can't unsay it. Like, it's like, it's
the equivalent of roll out.
Seriously. Did anybody else catch the My Pet Monster vibe?
I missed that one.
Oh, but you won't. As soon as I say it.
Now that you say that, I think.
As soon as I say it, and as soon as you see it,
yeah,
you'll be like, oh yeah, I get it. But then I had to wonder, like, well, when did the My Pet Monster show come out? It was close to
85, 86, somewhere.
So it's very close. So maybe they were influenced.
Well, and then the voice of Beaster is.
Yeah,
Graniche, right?
No, yes, absolutely right. We talk about, and I use this term kind of loosely, like when something is Star Warsian. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This episode to me felt pretty Star Warsian, if not Star Warsian, definitely like very, very steeped in the fantasy genre. And I really liked it. Like there was room to make this incredibly epic. And in some ways, They made it as epic as you can for a 22-minute show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure.
But
but they still maintain like the themes of friendship and caring
yeah,
and
yeah.
faith.
Oh yeah, especially in this one.
Yeah.
If you just
And
believe in yourself.
Yeah.
it wraps up in a nice tight bow. Like it doesn't feel, it felt long but not rushed at the end, as opposed to
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
It does rise to a breaking point. It's like, okay, now or never, we need a rescue here.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
All right. You want to get into the episode?
Sure.
All
Let's
right.
do
Let me change things up here a little bit. There we go. That's working now. Okay. This week it is Star Wars Ewoks. It is season 1, episode 8, The Land of the Gupins. Just like the last, most of them, written by Bob Carrao, directed by Raymond Jaffalis. Original air date is the October 26th, 1985. It has a runtime of 22 minutes. And our episode synopsis this week reads, after rescuing Mring-Mring and Ubel, Wicket and his friends journey to the Gupin homeland. All right, our episode opens, and we have Wicket, Nisa, and Tebow who are playing in the forest with Mring-Mring the Gupin. In case you've forgotten what he looks like.
Well, Tebow, he kind of stumbles onto it and he hears growling and laughing.
That's Paplu.
Or sorry, you're right, Paplu. My bad.
Yeah.
He freaks out.
Well, it's like did Paplu was present for this stuff too in the last one too. He was part of the "Let's fly on the bird, let's go home."
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's not ill acquainted with Mring-Mring.
Well, Mring-Mring has taken the form of some monstrous creature, and Paplu does stumble onto it, thinking that it's a real monster, and dives into the bush. Ah! The others laugh at him as they reveal, "Hey, it's just Mring-Mring the Gupin." And then realizing who it is, Paplu says, "Hey, what's up these days, Mring-Mring? Any more? Can you do any more shapes?" And we go back to that thing where, like, okay, everybody, you got to concentrate. And he turns into this like blowfish bird.
I blame Paplu for this one.
Fish bird, bishbird. I don't know what you call it.
Fish bird's good.
Sure. Blowfishy bird thing.
Because Paplu opens his eyes during the transformation.
So you think he
kind of botched it enough that Mring-Mring.
You don't think that this is a like this is the early
stages of what's revealed later?
Yeah, like
partially
when we meet Ubel, who says, "Have you noticed your powers diminishing?"
Yeah, but
we get a pretty good indication of that here. But it's played for comedy because he deflates like a Looney Tunes balloon.
Yes, he does.
And off into the forest he goes. Everybody concentrates. Mring-Mring turns into a giant blowfish bird. For some reason, he can't hold his form, and he lets out a huge burst of air from his lungs, sending him flying off into the forest. The kids follow Mring-Mring's flight path and discover that he's landed in this web-filled nest, and it's occupied by something that they refer to as a reap.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent way too much time on this, but I want to talk about this because this looks like the head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about the creature itself. Just look at the head on those creatures. Is that not ripped right out of a Hanna-Barbera? Like, I swear we've seen that on like
a mantis type creature or something.
I looked at every iteration of the Super Friends intro thinking I had seen this monster on one of the intros. Couldn't find it. You sent me a thing.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to. But like, this looks very Hanna-Barbera to me.
Yeah.
They've landed in the the reap's nest. Mring-Mring now is now suspended in sticky webbing in a tree. As they try to free him, Paplu and Wicket are now webbed up themselves by a trio of the reaps, and they are carried up into the trees. Anybody get a little Lord of the Rings vibe here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nisa and Tebow grab a forked branch, and they try to free everybody from the large mass of webbing. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the whole thing has the effect of like a slingshot.
Mm-hmm.
And for the second time,
and they go flying away, but forest, not alone.
No. And you can see it there. There's a
little webby bundle that we don't know what it is.
Thinking, is that a baby? What is that?
Sack full of baby reaps.
Here's our reaps. again, Andy, you and I talked about this sort of off to the side, and the closest we could come up with were these two guys from what? These Space Ghost?
Space Ghost, yeah.
They're Space Ghost guys. But then looking at the creatures themselves, especially their web spinner parts of their bodies, may be influenced by real world. What do you call these? Web spinners. That's what they're called. They're called web spinners.
Well, there you go.
But again, they just look so derivative of other cartoon monsters that I know I've seen somewhere. I just
can't place them.
I couldn't place it. Yeah. Well, Nisa and Tebow end up finding everybody else as they have, fortunately for them, landed in a soft bush. As they dust themselves off, a ball of the reap webbing erupts, and there's another Gupin there. But this Gupin has bat-like wings, and he is able to hover and fly. Mring-Mring introduces the other Gupin, says it's Ubel, my brother.
What a coincidence.
Funny we didn't know he had a brother before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Ubel, at this point, he asks, as you can see here, Ubel has some trouble flying, and he has this similar sort of like
almost
shifty, morphy thing.
He goes almost like liquid or
it's almost like
for a second.
Again, talking about stuff being derivative, right? Like, remember Odo in Deep Space Nine? The changelings in Deep Space Nine, their natural state was.
Why don't you morph into somebody with something interesting to say?
We're turning into liquid, so things aren't working very well. But he asks if his wings have grown in yet, and he's just like, no wings yet. Yep, still an outcast.
Still like, Mring-Mring the wingless.
What? Mring-Mring the wingless. We find out that it seems like it's not just Mring-Mring, but it's also Ubel, and by extension, the entire Gupin species, their shape-shifting powers are diminishing. Diminishing.
Yeah, sucks for them.
Ubel says that, no, you're not an outcast. It's not true. And he implores him, why don't you come home with me? But Mring-Mring refuses because he says everybody would just make fun of me.
So do we think he's self-exiled because all the Gupins made fun of him?
I do. I think he's like, you know what? I'm not fit. I'm not like everybody else. I'm an outcast. Even though that may not necessarily be the village mentality, but certainly he's feeling it.
Well, we'll find some of the village mentality.
Oh, we do. Yeah, we do. But right after they outrightly lie to him.
Yeah.
Go away. We're about to have the ceremony. No, you're not. I got the key. You're not doing nothing. Ubel says, well, it is almost time for the renewal ceremony. This is explained as the center of Gupin life. And it involves opening a magic box that's called the Juniper Chest, which contains an energy source that rejuvenates all Gupin's metamorphosing powers and also allows them to fly.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's that, like, we get to that point in the show and you see the effect. There's really no other way to explain it other than magic.
Yeah.
I mean, Force
Ark of the Covenant.
Force radiation.
Is the box a force talisman, an artifact, a force artifact of some kind?
Maybe.
I don't know, but it's definitely steeped in Gupin culture, because this renewal ceremony is something that happens periodically over the years. Ubel says, but this time there may not be a ceremony. He also explains that their father was the king of the Gupins, and Mring-Mring would have been set to succeed him, but after he left, their Uncle Meph, he took over instead. But then Uncle Meph's son, their cousin Punt, self-explanatory that name is, Punt, has taken over and declared himself king. Now, Ubel, who plays a supporting role this week, is played by a Canadian voice actor, Hadley Kay. Now, Hadley has 54 acting credits in both live action and animation. Now, Andy, I wasn't 100% sure on this. He's listed as being Bradley in Meatballs. Is that Bradley?
It's possible, but there's also another kid in there around the same age, similar look. But
to have I think it was his first or second acting credit to work opposite Bill Murray at such a young age, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's also Jason, the kid that fell.
The dumbass who crawled over the thing and
fell off Niagara Falls in Superman 2.
That's crazy.
Now, talking about going back to the Nelvana connection, we also have him starring as Nicholas in the first Care Bear movie in '85.
Nice.
He was the first actor after, not Casey Kasem, the next Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
The guy who played Scooby-Doo for like forever. He's the next actor after that guy to play Scooby-Doo in a couple of Johnny Bravo episodes. And then came back for Care Bears, the second movie, as Darkheart. He was Tommy in all of the early Raccoons specials before the Raccoons became a television series. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he had a stint at, talking about My Pet Monster, he had a stint as one of the live action kids in the My Pet Monster toy commercials, as well as he was one of the early voices of Buzz Bee, the Honey Nut Cheerios bee.
Honey Nut Cheerios bee.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. So I thought that's pretty cool.
Did he grow up to be an ugly guy? He went from like aspiring child star to
I mean, I don't think he's any. I don't think he's any.
No, he looks great
than any one of us.
But imagine just like, I mean, I wouldn't be able to stop talking about Superman Saved Me when I was 8 or something. You know what I mean?
Really.
I just like wouldn't be able to stop talking about that if that was part of my life for sure.
I went back and I rewatched that scene to get the clip, and it's unfortunate that he never quite faces the camera squarely.
No.
That's about the best shot of him that there is in the entire film, and it's not really a throwaway moment, but it's such a quick.
Yeah.
Again.
That's the beginning of 2, isn't it? Is that the beginning of 2?
Only one ride per customer. And the mother is like, I got a hold of you. Your kid just about like bit it.
Yep.
Granted, for his own stupidity.
Now there's signs up there for a reason.
You know what happened. You know what it means if there's a sign.
Yep.
Somebody did it. All right. Mring-Mring asks, what is it that cousin Punt has done? And Ubel goes on to explain that shortly after he had assumed the throne, there's another species called the grass trekkers who were on the warpath and were headed to the Gupin fortress. And because it was too late to prepare any defenses, the grass trekkers forced their way inside the Gupin fortress, and Punt, being too afraid to lead the people, ended up giving the grass trekkers the sacred key to the juniper chest, effectively sealing their doom, because without the key, they cannot have the renewal ceremony and their powers will fade.
I want to know
them defenseless.
Why they went in there to begin with.
So I have a thought.
Do the grass trekkers need something the Gupins make?
I want to talk about that, and
do they
I've
eat
saved
them?
I've saved it to the end. When we get to the end, remind me, because we'll talk about that.
Okay.
This episode, more than any other, has sort of sparked that. We talk about there's no canon more important than your own head canon.
Yep.
And my head canon was swirling after this one. And I think that's part of why I really enjoyed it. But I have some questions around that same question as well. And maybe a potential answer.
Cool.
We got Joseph Ricci tonight saying hello. Hello, Joseph. Nice to see you.
What's up, Joseph?
Nice of you to tune in and catch this week's episode of Tales from the Moon of Fandor. All right, so defenseless Gupins. Here's the key. All right, so
the grass trekker. Something else to kill you.
Once again, of all the things to canonize,
no.
Grass trekkers, a semi-sentient predatory species. They are aggressive and warlike, and they've been known to attack any group that they'd come in contact with. That's pretty much what we see. They're pretty much face value.
Yeah.
in September 2023, if you were one of the people who have you seen those subscription services? There's one for like build the Enterprise D, build the Ecto one, the giant subscription die cast, and it's like 2 years later you get a model. Well, the
it's thousands of dollars.
Yeah, the D'Agostini Build the Millennium Falcon, the magazine. Not only is it your instruction manual to build the Millennium Falcon, but each episode had a section on like species of the galaxy or regions of the galaxy.
Yeah.
And in the September 23 magazine number 38, the grass trekkers are canonized in that magazine.
Oh my.
Great looking villain. I mean, they're whoever conceived of these, great job. I quite like them. And they just feel Star Warsian to me.
Very I don't know, almost reminds me of from the Caravan of Courage, the giant they have to face at the end of that one.
Oh my gosh.
The mountain giant dude.
Yeah, with the giant ears. The Gorax?
Maybe
Gorax.
Gorax, yeah.
I think it is the Gorax.
There's something else coming up here that kind of reminds me of the Lorax.
So this week I made a point. All the weird creatures that they never talk
named.
about, I made sure to get an image of all of them.
Nice.
Or the two big ones anyway. Also, like this thing to me could have hopped right out of Labyrinth.
Or Dark Crystal.
Yeah, any one of those.
And weird thing about them in the early, as we meet them right up until the final thing, they don't have pupils. They're like eyeless, evil beings, right?
That's true.
But once we get to a certain point, they start developing irises.
Oh,
yeah.
And
it takes away, like, it removes a layer of that, ominous presence.
Yeah. Excuse me. Sorry. Where are we at? Oh, okay. So, Ubel insists that Mring-Mring come back with him to the Gupin homeland, but Mring-Mring protests. He says, "What can one wingless Gupin do?" And in a total Michael Knight thing, one man, one Gupin can make a difference. Strangely enough, and again, right in our steeped in fantasy, Ubel reminds him that there is an ancient prophecy.
There's always a prophecy.
And the ancient prophecy says, one day a Gupin will come who can open the juniper chest without the key. And now, especially this week with the release, like I said, like there's the Transformer reference.
Mm-hmm.
In light of now having seen the episode and looking back on it, I'm like, open the leadership of Matrix, the Autobot Matrix of leadership.
Only one may open it.
Until all are one. Right?
It's all the Arthur legend, right?
Yo, totally it is. It's so is.
Stone. Yeah.
Now stick your hand in this stone.
Now, Ubel says it's a prophecy, but Mring-Mring is not impressed. And he's like, you mean a fairy tale?
We've no time for your fairy tales.
Oh, fairy tales. Ubel continues that one day this hero will become the Gupin's greatest king the people have ever known. Mring-Mring says, I don't want to hear it, but I will help you get the key back. Well, then Wicket and the others offer to help, but Mring-Mring is like, whoa, it's too dangerous.
Even he recognizes these things will kill you.
But we get a nice callback, and Wicket's like, but Mring-Mring, you helped save my dad. Let me repay the kindness.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very, very sweet.
And Poplu, he seals it off, too. Plus, you're our friend.
Yeah. Well, now that he's remembering who he is. Now that I know that you won't eat me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll help you.
There's a scene here that's missing, though, because they're like, we just got to, let the elders know.
Well, consult the elders. Yeah.
But apparently it goes well because in the next scene, they're like off and running.
Well, but again, like how many episodes have we made light of, like, you've got kids doing very adult things, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but you'd think maybe Logray had like a magic tea kettle or something to help them.
Like,
This ain't the Goonies, mother.
You can't possibly paint bushes with a paintbrush, but you can fly a hang glider over a burning forest. Like,
the hot air rises. It works.
So it feels par for the course on this episode, where it's like, oh, near death, yeah, sure, go ahead.
We just take that. It was the 80s. If you guys remember the 80s, We actually
Jets
did
were
near-death
best.
stuff all the time.
Well, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. What's
Raised
that?
by
You wanna build-
wolves.
You want to build a ramp to jump your bike over your dad's car?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
cool.
Totally
Yeah,
Let's
you
do
guys
it.
want to go into the woods with pellet guns and shoot at each other from 5 feet away?
Been there, done that.
Yes, sir.
Didn't have to pop the BB out of my forehead though.
No,
That's another story.
that is another story.
You're right. Tebow says we'll consult the elders, and they all rush off, presumably heading back to the village. And as you say,
They get the green light.
yeah. We pick up with everybody paddling a pair of canoes down an unnamed river, and we get a look at this
Death tree.
clam tree.
Death tree.
I don't know what you call it. It eats a bug. I know that.
I'm assuming it would eat anything that walked by.
that was close enough for it to
Yeah,
to frog tongue.
The eyes are horrifying.
because
You
again,
know what it looks like though? Does it not look like something that you would have seen in a McDonald's commercial?
I was just going to
appropriate-
say, it looks like
yes,
it's the burger tree or whatever.
I do wonder if this is the animated version. You remember in Caravan of Courage when they're looking at stuff and the one kid wanders off and he gets close to the tree and the tree tries to eat him. Is this the animated version of that tree?
You know, it's funny with no reference in the Wikipedia. I didn't even think of that, but
Because like I know we've seen in different episodes, like there are creatures hiding in some trees that will pull you in, but this is literally a tree that will pull you in. Because we never do see if it's a creature or if it's just the tree itself in Caravan, right?
maybe
Another
He's
Lord
just
of the
stuck
Rings
in there
reference,
trying to get
maybe.
out.
maybe I don't know. I'm gonna have to go and watch that now. I'd love. Maybe we'll do a split screen and we can put that up on our social media, and you guys can decide what it is.
Mm.
That could be fun. All right, so paddling these canoes towards the grasslands down an unnamed river, Nisa asks Ubel if he believes the prophecy about the Gupin being able to open the juniper chest. Now Ubel repeats himself by saying yes, and that Gupin will become the greatest king of all. Paplu, I've been wondering, what would happen if I opened the chest? Well, Paplu, then you would be the king of the Gupins. And it kind of goes right to his head because as he's like fantasizing, King Paplu,
I like the sound of that.
he completely drops the paddle.
And then he exhibits his superpowers.
What's that?
Well, he dives overboard and they're going along at a pretty good clip, but he goes back for the paddle
And
and
then
then,
it comes back.
manages to catch up
Okay, so
one-handed.
you make a good point. And have you canoed before?
I have, but not down a
I had.
rapidly flowing.
So it's
river.
not. I don't think it's rapidly flowing at this point. It definitely does
It picks
become
up,
that.
yes.
But I mean, that paddle is laying in pretty still water, and he's not swimming. He's clearly wading, which tells me that water's not that deep.
Could be. Yeah. Good point.
He gets caught up in his own fantasy and absentmindedly drops the paddle. Nisa points that out to him, and Paplu has to jump into the river to retrieve it. But the water isn't too deep, as it appears that he's able to just wade his way back to the canoe, while the others poke fun at him as he sits there soaking wet. Well, the moment is interrupted as the canoes get caught up in the increasing current, and they are swept towards a waterfall. Now, even though they manage to get the boats turned around, the current becomes too much for them, and
Nature's trying to kill them again.
we're going overboard. We're going over. Speaking of going over, hello, Joe Fan 84.
Go. Smashing the
It's
studio
going
up.
over. It's going over. Oh, what did you just go over?
I knocked it light. Little lighty poo.
No.
It's live.
Don't
Things
you know?
happen.
Yep. Just don't dump the Gatorade on the equipment.
No.
Oh,
No.
dear.
I don't know how my warranty is, but it probably doesn't prevent Gatorade from my keyboard.
I was gonna say, I thought maybe like you dumped an action figure or something.
Mm.
Hey, speaking of action
Tragic.
figures,
Ooh.
did anybody catch the interview this week? Paul Sung Lee was on Katie Sackhoff's podcast this past week. And if you didn't watch the whole interview, she's put out just the clip of him talking about not having his own action figure yet. And she's like, you got scanned, right? Like when you did the thing. And he's like, oh yeah, I got scanned like everybody else. And then he starts naming, he's like, the Mandalorian privateer's got 2, Axe's got 3, Katie's got like 6. He's got nothing.
Yeah.
Yet.
So I hope the man gets his justification. He has earned his just rewards. He's like, I'm in
He's in the universe.
He's like, I'm featured in like 6 episodes, and I'm like, dude, you have a name. Mandalorian Privateer isn't even a named guy, and he's got a figure.
Yep.
I thought there was a con exclusive, but maybe I'm thinking of the Dave Filoni figure.
I think that's the Filoni one. Funny, Paul should have got a selfie series, because then he could have got the X-Wing pilot one.
Oh, they canceled that before they brought it to Canada. It made me so angry.
Even though he's got the he does now. Carson Teva does have a Black Series X-Wing helmet.
That may be what I'm thinking of.
That's an easy repaint too. Oh wow, Joe Fan 84. I'm watching Droids season 2, episode 1.
Nice.
Did Droids get a second season? Did it?
It sure did.
I thought it was just one. I thought it was just one long season.
Oh, maybe.
I like Droids though.
Well, who does?
Droids is a good time.
We're going to get to that at some point. I don't know if it's going to be in 2024, but we are definitely going to get to Droids.
Yep.
It's like it kind of uses that Clone Wars format, like the mini movie format, and that excites
the little
me.
arcs. Yeah.
I love that. In fact, that might be how we end up looking at it, as each arc, instead of doing it episode by episode. But I digress. Sorry. As the canoes are about to be swept over the falls, Mring-Mring tells everyone, okay, everybody think of blankets. And Ubel says that's a good idea. And it surprises me that in the face of imminent death, that they are actually able to pull it off.
Yep. Adrenaline surge.
They end up thinking of blankets, and surprisingly, everybody's able to concentrate well enough through their state of panic, and are surprised when they open their eyes to find that both Mring-Mring and Ubel have transformed into virtual parachutes.
They've mimicked Mr. Fantastic.
And
or Elastigirl.
Or Plastic Man.
Or Plastic.
Yeah. And the canoes end up floating away from the falls, landing softly in what is referred to as the Endorian grasslands.
Aren't they beautiful?
You know, on some level they are.
Well, Pop Lou looks around. He's like, "Yeah, I love the view."
Yeah, because
he can't see anything.
The grass is taller than him.
Yeah.
All right, so there's our straight out of Dr. Seuss creature for the week.
Lorax giraffes.
They remind me of Rontos.
A little bit like a Ronto, yeah. Long neck, furry,
but facially, Lorax.
Mring-Mring.
They speak for the grass.
Mring-Mring calls it beautiful, while Paplu complains about the view. Now the ground trembles, and there's some shrieking that's heard off in the distance, and everybody scatters from the canoes to hide in the tall grass as a pair of grass trekkers, presumably the grass trekkers, saw the canoes and were drawn to the crash site.
Well, a big purple parachute and a big blue parachute would like kind of stand out.
Yeah, and I mean, if the grass trekkers, and I mean, presumably we get a like a forced perspective shot later on.
Yeah.
I mean, the grass trekker shrine and the Gupin fortress are like within walking distance of each other.
Yeah.
They've been in contact with each other before.
Well, later on, he does say that they've been an enemy for a long time.
Yeah. No, it's totally true.
So,
that's kind of why I was saying it feels like they're setting up like a spin-off series, because it is a complete, comes with its own protagonists, and antagonists,
its own environment. No, you're right.
Backstory, environment.
Totally makes sense. I'm surprised that they didn't, because that would have made for a great like why they didn't revisit these guys in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
They're almost a better design for an animated series too. The Gupins, like you know what I mean. Like, we love the Ewoks. They're totally cooler in live action though, when they're more animalistic and stuff. So they wonder though, you know, you could see like that being like a troll doll, and like, you know,
that absolutely.
Crazy. Yeah.
Would, you know, at the time, given that this would have been Lucasfilm, you know, on their own, do you think that that's something that, you know, would have made it past George Lucas?
Maybe.
I mean, you know, so the thing is, at this point we were throwing darts at the map and whatever stuck.
What sticks?
A lot of stuff didn't stick, you know, like even Lucas even said, like, even the novelizations are canon until they're not. So I reserve the right to change whatever you say later. For now, I'll approve of it.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I mean, our target audience at this point is, you know, is probably like 10,
Yeah.
10 or
Sure.
under.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's probably ballpark for what the intended audience for Star Wars was in the first place. You know, like
I mean, George
preteens, early
Lucas
teens.
in that clip from Celebration, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Mhm.
Star Wars is for 12-year-olds.
And then you read Splinter in the Mind's Eye and you're like, this is totally different animal. Like that's
It's so true.
not even
It's
close.
so true.
Like it's really dark.
Joe Fan 84, the novels were much better. I don't necessarily agree that they were better. I will say this.
They added more to it.
When people, and I'm in a bunch of Star Wars groups, so this comes up as new people join. When people ask, I want to read some Star Wars books, what should I read? And I always say this, no matter, I don't care if you're a Legends fan, if you're a hard canon fan, I always say, read the novelizations of the films, because just like marketing for any franchise, the marketing machine starts long before the finished product hits. So you get these books that aren't necessarily based on the final script draft. So you get other ideas that from earlier script drafts that make it into the books. Example is that Red Squadron was originally Blue Squadron. Or the biggest one, and this is the mind blower. I've read this to people, and I know a lot of people don't talk about this. Hank, you'll remember this. In Return of the Jedi. In Return of the Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi tells Luke Skywalker point blank, when your sister and you were separated at birth, and I took you to live with my brother.
Yep.
Owen Lars is Obi-Wan Kenobi's brother in some form,
Version
somewhere.
of it.
Yeah, in one version of the script.
Right.
Totally makes sense to me. It explains why Owen is so
Anti going out into the
yeah,
galaxy.
yeah. The way that he looks at Baru at the dining room table, and that man's just an old wizard. Stay away.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. Love the books. Love the novelizations of the films. All of them. Yes, more detailed. For sure. We get Star Wars, particularly that whole prologue, which is the rise of Palpatine. We don't even see.
That's how we knew that, you know, those of us that read the novel as children knew that detail sort of going into Return of the Jedi, and it really does coalesce. Like it makes way more sense. The whole the way they describe it as a tree rotting from within and stuff. We I think it's also indicated in the novel that Vader perished in a volcano, or they battled on the shore of a volcano.
Yes, the whole.
So we
volcano,
always knew that was coming from like 1976.
That's right. Oh, that's a good point too. Heir to the Empire was so good. Yes, it was.
So
and
good.
For those of you who are Star Wars Black Series collectors, Prince Shizor coming to the Black Series pretty soon.
They're gonna suck me back in.
I know. Tebow, getting back to Ewoks. Tebow,
he starts flexing.
He flexes in a major way. Starts using his Force ability. Notice he gives his own little chant this week.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really hear it, but he's out there.
But it's like on par with a Logan.
Yeah, he's my dude.
And a pair, actually, Paplu thinks that he's inadvertently summoned the grass trekkers back.
Hide quick.
Nisa's like, no, Tebow. As it turns out, he summoned a pair of large purple bipedal insect bird things.
But they're nice.
Yeah. He introduces them as Macants. Did I put a thing in here for that? I think I did. There we go. He summons the Macants. Although I will say this, the Disney Plus subtitles errantly spell them as Macants, like Mecha, like MECH.
Oh,
Mech ants. And now I can get myself canceled again because I just went and updated the Wikipedia to fix that.
There you go.
I went to the Macant entry and I said that, the Disney Plus subtitles errantly call them Macants. And we know that it's errantly because Macants are another one of those species that was referenced in that magazine article, the Castaways of Endor, that we've spoken about a few times. All right. He says the mechanics have agreed to help them get to the Gupin stronghold. So then here we are. We get this forced perspective shot as they ride out across the plains. There's another weird floaty insecty
hummingbirdish creature.
Another, maybe it came from Whoville. I don't know.
Yeah.
You also don't get the any other style biome. I mean, like swamp is close enough to forest, but
Yeah,
you don't really
I
get
would
like
say so.
rolling fields anywhere else on Endor except for this.
No,
so far
no.
anyway.
Yeah, so I mean,
Totally
we've
other biome.
done swamp, jungle, and now grasslands.
Right.
Have
So
we
this
seen-
is
Rocky
feeling
I was
more
going to say Morag lived in a craggy.
craggy
yeah,
area.
mountainy type
It still
place,
felt
yeah.
very foresty though. But yeah, this is feeling more Earth-like all the time, except for the everything will kill you. Well, I guess Australia, feeling more like Australia all the time.
Looking at the image, I just noticed this now. Apparently, the McCant is multi-jointed because its feet are on backwards in the last slide, the last picture.
Nice.
Why are your feet on backwards? Okay.
Well, they hop and glide too, right?
The what?
They hop and glide
Oh, that's true. That is true.
when
They
they're
have
not
many
covered.
points of articulation.
This, though, talking about reminding you of something, Eopie looking like head.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I like that. Well, they ride the McCants for a short time, arriving at a ridge, and this is that forced perspective where it's like you see the Gupin stronghold, and it's like you go that way, we're going over there, and it's like they're like inches apart.
Yep.
Excuse me, sorry. One moment, please.
They're neighbors.
And so when you see this initially, you're like, oh, they're really close. Like they must be fighting all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, when we get inside the Gupin stronghold and you realize how big the place is, it's like, oh, it's much farther apart, but not so far that you can't walk there.
No.
Well, now we got Ubel says this is where we have to split up. Now Mring-Mring, Wicket, and Nisa will ride out to the Gupin stronghold and warn everybody, while Ubel, Tebow, and Paplu are going to go to the Grass Trekker Shrine to try and recover the key to the Juniper chest. Very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Tebow comes up with this idea to cover the McCant in grass. And he's like, well, there you go.
Perfect disguise.
One gangly grass trekker, I think he calls it. And it's kind of funny the way that they try to sneak by in the background. And I'm like, okay, at a distance, like maybe, but
Up close, no.
yeah. Well, they ride up to the outskirts of the Trekker Shrine, where they actually spot the entrance, and from there,
We display Paplu's second power.
yeah. Well, I mean, arguably his first power is comedic relief.
Yes.
But it's like
The second power is a connection to the Speed Force.
he Ace Ventura's himself as he drops out the back end of the McCant, looking like a literal
A pat
against his
loop.
better a pap loop. Against his better judgment, he agrees to distract the grass trekkers, dismounting from the McCant, and he shouts at them, "Hey, grass trekkers, come get me!" And then it proceeds to run around in a very Looney Tunes fashion, kind of with the spinning legs,
Yep.
which was, I found it quite. I mean, it reminded me we're watching a cartoon, and it's supposed to be fun, and that was fun.
Yeah. Want the Benny Hill theme to play while he was doing that.
And do it in stop motion.
Yeah.
So while Paplu is running around evading the grass trekkers, Tebow and Ubel slip past the others on the disguised McCant, and they enter the shrine, which is completely anathema, like sneaking as Tebow at the door. Go, Paplu!
Don't draw attention to yourself.
What are you doing? you're trying to sneak in, but as you're standing at the door, hello.
I'm in stealth mode, guys. Look at me.
Funny. Cut to Mring-Mring, Nisa, and Wicket now, who have arrived at the Gupin stronghold. It looks like it's a solid rock structure.
Almost an anthill.
Yeah, kind of
like a giant anthill.
Yeah, anthill, termite mound.
Yeah,
but like
fortified,
rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so where is it here? Yes, and Mring-Mring says it was built to keep the grass trekkers out, so specifically to counter them.
Mm-hmm.
He also says that the Gupins have always had a strong leader, but since his father died, they've had no one.
Mm.
Meanwhile, Ubel and Tebow have combed the depths. We've spelunked our way to the shrine, which has a long staircase at which some form of altar sits at the top.
Doesn't he make the comment, it's like a labyrinth in here?
Does he? Or is that in the... they definitely talk about it in the maze episode.
I thought he did in this one too.
But again, I mean, it's at the top. Because where else is it going to be?
It better be.
Sure.
He sits at the top. Meanwhile, outside, Paplu he's kind of run out of options, and the grass trekkers now start to envelop him and have him kind of cornered.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as they, and this one is interesting. This one kind of left me going, huh? As they are like surrounding,
ready to destroy him.
Yeah. They're literally on top of him, and it's like off in the distance.
That's his.
And
job.
I'm like, wait a minute, because it's the same sounder that we've heard before. And I'm like, did the adults from Bright Tree Village just show up?
Right.
Nope. The grass trekkers say, okay, and off they go.
It's time.
So I had to contextually, I had to finish watching the episode or watch a little bit more before I realized that, no, this is some kind of clarion call by the grass trekkers to say it's time to go. We're going to attack again.
Mm-hmm.
But it isn't clear in the moment, at least not to me.
Like we don't get a visual of any sort of grass trekker blowing a horn or anything.
Yeah, it's like Latara's magic flute.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere. Yeah, I know it's. I don't know who's more confused, Paplu or me. Was the horn blast from the Gupin stronghold?
Could have had at least Fred Flintstone sliding down a dinosaur pulling the string.
Yeah.
Would have made sense.
Actually, it could have been the Gupins.
Well, I don't think so.
Because if they're like, oh yeah, it's time for our rejuvenation ceremony.
Well, that
blow a horn.
Possible.
And they're like,
but then, as we see in the Ascension, there's a whole retinue of guys, and they pipe him up the stairs. So I'm left with, I believe this is the trekkers declaring it's like a war
call to action.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
At the altar, Ubel has flown up to the top, spots the key, says, but it is bound by a stone chain, and if I had something, I might be able to free it.
Hey, look, a rock.
Well, there just happens to be a rock in this cave, and he smashes the rock chain. By the way, how do you make a rock chain?
Very carefully.
It was made of sandstone or something. I don't know. Smashes the rock chain and gets the very jade-looking key, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Outside, now, Tebow shouts to Paplu that they have the key and it's time to go. Ubel says that the grass trekkers are on their way to mount a final attack. So maybe that's what the horn blast was.
Mm-hmm.
But he also says that he knows a way to slip past the grass trekkers, and he has the McCant kind of like fly hop down this ravine or valley.
Trench run.
Yeah.
Make the trench run. And at multiple points, though, the thing's like leaping basically out, so they're totally.
Oh, I know. They're at like.
But the grass trekkers are so focused on moving forward.
We get an interesting thing happen here. We've sort of like talked about this before, like the passage of time within the series, But for the first time in an episode, we get a very clear, like, whoop. We cut back to Wicket, Nisa, and Mring-Mring, who, when we saw them, they were at the door.
Yeah, but they're
They
just
were
now getting
now
off
they're
from a
just
cab.
getting off. So it's almost like, okay, stop the clock, go deal with this thing with the other guys, go back to Wicket. Okay, start the clock again.
Yeah.
I thought, well, that's interesting. They're just dismounting the McCant, and before they go any further, Wicket and Nisa take the time to give Mring-Mring a little bit of an attaboy. They say that they do believe that a Gupin hero exists, and if he could only believe in himself, he'll find a way to save his people.
But Mring-Mring sees right through it. Says, I don't know why you have so much faith in me.
Yeah, you and Ubel, you all have so much. I don't know if I can live up to their expectations. Yeah. But then we hear the stomping feet off in the distance, and Mring-Mring's like,
Open the door.
I've got to help my people.
Yeah.
He just commits. I got to help my people. At the same time, Ubel and the others emerge from the canyon, just like literally. You see them pass each other.
Yeah.
And join everybody sort of at the gates.
But not before the dude answering the gate.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Dick move. He's like, open the gate. He's like, who are you?
Guard,
it's Mring-Mring the Wingless. Bugger off.
Yeah, the guards say, see, Mring-Mring the Wingless. They tell him to go away.
I love what Nisa does here. She pulls
rank.
rank.
I love that. They tell him to go away. They say that Punt the Magnificent has barred all entrance because it is the hour of the renewal ceremony. And as I said, outrightly lying, which begs the question, are these guys lying? Do they know?
I think they're still going to go through the motions to sort of like
maybe it will open.
Keep the kingly sort of rhetoric going for the rest of the tribe in terms of like showing
and he could walk up
Punt's
and try
power.
and unlock it without the key.
In the flashback, we see Punt hand the key over. But do the other villagers see that?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
or do they just think everything's fine? Punt, our glorious leader, saved us because they've gone away and nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
It seems sort of like about that. Either that or they're just going to go through the motions to sort of like,
maybe,
the world didn't end. It's okay.
Yeah. When they get in there, they're smashing houses off branches and stuff.
As soon as they say, we've got the key, they're like, what? Open the gates.
Yeah.
It's a complete reversal. Well, the grass trekkers, Ubel, Thibaut, and Paplu, they on their McCanth through the gate. Everybody runs in to get the door shut just ahead of the grass trekkers, who end up at the door pounding away on it with their bare hands.
They got a pretty good lock system on the back door.
For now. Well, as the grass trekkers are bashing away at the front gates, the Ewoks take a minute to revel at just how beautiful it is in here. It's quite literally an oasis, quite lush, and quite beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very stark contrast to the barren grasslands on the outside. Mring-Mring, for now, is actually quite. He sort of has this sense of like, home again,
mm-hmm.
and you get this sense like, oh, you really are glad to be here.
Yeah, probably missed it.
Yeah, but then you get Cousin Punt, and Cousin Punt comes off like a cousin. See you next Tuesday,
mm-hmm.
which also rhymes with Punt.
Yes, he does.
Which kind of makes me wonder: is writers, I'm looking at you. I'm a man now.
Oh yeah.
You know what Punt rhymes with, right? And that's exactly what he is.
Well,
a cross between a P and a C.
You just use the Portuguese word, Kona.
Oh.
Oh, all right.
Which is why in Portugal, the Hyundai, or is it Hyundai?
The Kona, yeah.
It is not named the Kona in Portugal.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Nice.
Probably a good idea.
Shout out to Rico for that.
The Chevy Puta Madre.
He's quite arrogant though.
He is.
And it doesn't
snatches the key away.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop until almost the very end. But I can't. I mean, you can see sort of the expression on his face. That's very consistent, sort of his characterization right up until the very end.
Yeah. But like Ubel tries to stop him, and Mring-Mring pulls like a graceful maneuver. He's like, no. let him try.
Yeah, he's basically demands the key, and when Mring-Mring produces it, doesn't wait for it. He literally snatches it right out of his hand.
Yeah.
Which is,
Well, that's what makes this so Arthurian. It's like if anybody who has the key is capable of opening the box, it's a totally different sort of story.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So
yeah,
even
yeah.
if he hadn't have given the key away, this moment wouldn't have been his anyway. Key or not, he couldn't open it.
Oh, you're right. You're
right. So what value does it have to him? Like, that's why he would just give it away. It has no value to him.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
And he's following suit. Like, every Gupin has a chance to try.
Right. Ubel basically tells Punt, you can't do that. You can't open the chest with that. You were never meant to use it, I think is the line. And then yes, Mring-Mring does the sort of hand on his arm. No. It's every Gupin's right to try.
Yeah.
Thor's hammer.
Punt smugly turns his nose up at Mring-Mring while Nisa tells him, spoken like a true king. Yeah.
Royalty recognizes royalty.
Sorry, I forgot that. Nisa at the front gate.
She pulls rank.
She does. She flexes. I am Princess Nisa of the Ewoks.
And we're here to help you open the goddamn gate.
Good for her.
The show's named after us. You will open this door.
Oh, that's hilarious. Why weren't the Ewoks in the Deadpool movie? Because that would have been totally fourth wall breaking.
They are in Rebuild the Universe, though, and they're awesome.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I haven't watched the rest of it yet.
Oh,
I'm only in for the first episode.
It's good, and it's a season 1.
Oh,
we're going to get more.
Nice. Okay.
As long as it performs well,
okay.
They leave it wide open for season 2.
I'm all right with that.
Yes.
Sweet.
Well, the grass trekkers are still pounding away on the door outside. The gates are now starting to flex and buckle. They're not breaking by any means, but it's like enough like, oh, okay, we better do something. Paplu,
it's him.
Finally. I mean, because we think of Paplu as the guy who blows the war horn in Return of the Jedi. So we know that he's
got some knowledge.
He's a capable warrior. And leave it to Paplu to organize a work party to reinforce the door.
Well, the Gupins aren't doing anything. They're too busy watching the king march up the stairs to the sound of the horns.
But he's like, you Gupins. Speaking of horns, he's carrying his. Organizes some Gupins along with Wicket and Tebow to help reinforce the door with some logs. Meanwhile,
at the end of the world, don't shoot the construction guy.
Right. Meanwhile, Punt the False King ascends the steps to the Juniper Chest as a contingent of Gupins play their horns to open the ceremony. Now, Ubel tells Mring-Mring, be ready. And partway up the stairs, and I don't know if this was for pomp and circumstance or pomp and ceremony, Punt stops. Behold the key! Behold your rightful king!
You know they're at the door, right? Hurry up.
Yeah. As Punt ceremoniously makes his way slowly up the stairs, the grass trekkers outside have now resorted to using a battering ram on the gates.
It does make you wonder where they acquired that, though. Because there's no trees to knock down in the immediate vicinity.
I mean,
did they just bring it with them?
I don't know. Who's to say they didn't
the company battering ram? But it shows a level of intelligence because they seem almost like mindless sort of creatures, right? They're just like shambling.
They do that, yeah.
Yeah, lumbering forward to destroy.
They did leave. In the flashback, they got the key and they left.
Oh, so, I mean, sure.
They have to have some intelligence.
Because, like, looking at that, right? Like, why would you take the key? If that was they only want to stop the Gupins from being rejuvenated, why not just take the whole Juniper chest?
Take the whole box.
Yeah, you can't have this more Gupins.
It may be that they're too powerful to overthrow at that point. So, okay, we can wrest this key from them, but we couldn't actually defeat them outright. Now, once their power is waned,
now they're diminished. Now we can go.
Now we can get them.
Oh, that does make sense.
And suggesting they're very intelligent, or that Morag is pulling strings.
Well, I wondered that too. Like, I'm surprised we haven't seen more of her sort of in the background. Like, oh, how can we defeat them this time?
Mm-hmm.
Next episode, we're going to get more of her.
Yep.
All right. Ubel tells him to quit wasting time, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, yeah, stop wasting time. Now, finally, reaching the chest, Punt places the key into the lock, but it won't budge. And no matter how hard he wrestles with it, the key just will not turn.
It's an old lock. You have to be gentle with it.
Yeah, man. Like you got.
And he's just jamming it in there.
You gotta smooth it in.
He doesn't even try to turn it the other way, though.
No.
To be fair,
He's only like. "Grrr." You don't do like the good roommate thing, jiggle the key in the lock, but when you come home,
Yep.
you gotta coax it. You gotta warm it up. All right, one of the logs reinforcing the gates ends up toppling, and Ubel beckons Mring-Mring to go. Now we can't afford to wait. You gotta go. Which is funny because it's not just him; it's him, Mring-Mring, Ubel, and Nisa. Okay, we got your back. Yeah. With the doors basically ready to go at any moment, Ubel shouts at Punt, to stop wasting time. Oh, sorry, I read that already. Yeah, the door's about to break. We can't wait anymore. Let's go. Punt, trying desperately to turn the key, goes so far as to violently shake it. With his foot now up against the chest to brace it, he pulls hard on the key and it suddenly comes loose.
And this goes back to you thinking it's a jade key because
Punt topples to the ground. In so doing, he drops the key, which flies through the air and smashes against the stone steps. Oh no! Oh no, it's broken! Oh no! Prophecy time.
Yep.
And just as that happens, the gates bust open and in come the grass trekkers and chaos ensues. We got people basically running for their lives. We get a house smashed.
Hopefully nobody was in it.
Yeah, well,
hopefully they're all out watching the ceremony.
But basically, these things are on the warpath, hellbent, and basically anything in their path gets flattened, alive or not. Oh, this is so good. With some quick thinking, Ubel snatches Mring-Mring up in his arms and he flies him all the way up to the juniper chest. Mring-Mring says, "I've got to try," and he plunges his arm into the keyhole. Light our darkest hour. Seriously, and like there's a reason why I named this slide what I did, because it's literally, you got the touch, you got the power. As the chest
lights up, it begins to illuminate from within.
The whole thing recedes into itself, and we bathe everybody in the light. So it begins to glow as it emits pulses of light. It's not clear if these pulses force Mring-Mring's hand out of the lock or if he just pulls it out in surprise, like, hey, it's working.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, the entire leaf-shaped lock mechanism recedes inside the chest and opens up, bathing all the Gupins in its awesome light.
Juniper juice.
Yeah. Mring-Mring standing in front of
that.
What's that?
Juniper juice.
Juniper juice.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Actually, it's funny as
much
hell.
better than blue milk.
Mring-Mring standing in front of there suddenly sprouts a pair of wings.
The prophecy has fulfilled.
Oh my god! And as you said, like Optimus Prime, he's like, "Gupins, transform!" I'm like, he said the thing.
And they all assume his color palette too.
And they don't need to concentrate.
So that's a big one for me.
So at ground zero of rejuvenation, they don't need it anymore.
Like they all have their own color palette.
So there's a thing here that I've wondered. Like let's just talk about the antagonistic relationship between the grass trekkers and the Gupins. If they've been mortal enemies for some time, is this a rehearsed? Okay, when they attack, everybody thinks of this, and we all turn into the thing.
Yeah.
Is this a rehearsed
like a
defense
strategy?
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
But like it does come off like, wait a minute, we didn't need the cue. Okay, everybody think of the thing.
Yeah.
They just did it.
But at this point, our grass trekkers develop pupils, right?
Oh, they have.
And we see a bit more fear expression on their face.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Give chase.
As they morph into a legion of My Pet Monsters.
Yes. Now you say that.
I'm like, wow, my pet monsters, and the exact same bird that we saw Mring-Mring transform
Somebody
into.
gave Woody Woodpecker steroids.
And the best they can do is hurl oranges at them.
That is true. Now, the grass trekkers, visibly terrified of the morphed Gupins, flee while everybody begins cheering for Mring-Mring.
They have an almost Duloc moment. Like, the march there was so not like slow and menacing.
Yeah.
But here they've just turned tail and they're, they're pulling a
Outright
Duloc
fleeing.
retreat.
They don't even try. They don't even try to fight them.
Yeah.
Which like lads, it lends weight to what you were saying, Hank. Like maybe they were waiting. Okay, they should be diminished enough now.
Maybe.
Oh shit, they're fully powered. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
They would be the most diminished on the eve of them needing to replenish their power. So the moment before the box should be open would be the moment to strike.
No, I agree with you on that.
Especially if they can't open said box.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And it doesn't take very long to route them. Like it's over in like seconds.
Yeah.
And you're right. Throw some fruit at them and away they go. I'm thinking dinner. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
My only weakness, citrus.
We get this like fanfare and it's in the bottom right there. It's difficult to discern. Is this another separate group of Gupins outside of the defensive team?
Maybe.
Or are these the same people
now just reverted back?
Guppin form. Not that it matters, but like that's the kind of stuff that I wonder about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We get this moment where Ubel says, oh, looks like sometimes fairy tales do come true. Not that I doubted you. That was very nice. Now, it looks like Mring-Mring is accepting.
Mring-Mring the Winged.
Yeah, he's very kind of passive.
Humble.
Yeah, humble is probably the best word for it. Because they wheel out Punt, who now for the first, this is the most somber he's been. We've seen him in Terror and we've seen his smug, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
Now he's just like, all right.
You saved the Gupins. I'm sorry.
And in another, and I get kind of confused again because it's like, they're like, what are you going to do with him? And Mring-Mring, in a moment of leniency, says that because of his ability to take charge, which is weird because
he didn't really
he
show
couldn't
any
lead
of that.
them. He just kind of like, I'm the king. And they all went, okay. But Mring-Mring says, given his ability to take charge in the wake of their father's death, that will not go unrewarded. And he makes a bold move in declaring him third in charge after his brother.
Assistant trailer park supervisor.
And I don't know who's more shocked, Punt or me.
If we did get a Guppin show at some point,
keep your enemies close, right?
Oh, that's true. That is so true.
That would be yeah.
Punt shows a little bit of humility here by removing the crown and crowning Mring-Mring. Everybody rejoices. Everybody cheers. And then Mring-Mring invites the Ewoks to join them as honored guests as they celebrate. Presumably, it's also a coronation celebration
at this point. Yeah.
And Nisa accepts, saying that it would be an honor. And the episode closes out that night with a band and lots of dancing and another one last sort of comedic beat with Papaloo, who's basically been danced off his feet by all the Guppin children. And everybody laughs as they think that's kind of funny. And as the camera lifts away from the Guppin stronghold, we get a shooting star to bing to close.
We see the gas giant. We don't ever see the gas giant.
We do. We see, I guess Endor is the moon. So I guess that's, or the forest moon of Endor. Is that Endor? I don't know. What is Endor? What's the name of the thing? Do we know the thing? Is the gas giant Endor? I don't know.
I don't. That's a funny one to.
So I want to go back. I want to go back and talk about the whole the relationship here, because this whole, oh my God, my head cannon is swirling. And Andy, I don't know if this leans into kind of what you were thinking, but I have to wonder if the Guppins and the grass trekkers are somehow related.
Linked somehow.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at their like the two shrines like side by side, and you see that there is a similarity in the way that they're framed, I'm like, wait a minute, like, and then this is where my headcanon goes nuts, and it's like, is there a point in the Guppin history where something happened where a group of them, maybe perhaps an offshoot, their powers diminished while they were in another form and they weren't able to revert?
Locked in a grass
Yeah,
tracker
yeah,
form?
like that's something happened, and now it's been so long and they're so perverted that they just don't know how to get back. Is that why they want the key? Like the key, yes, the key prevents the Guppins from rejuvenating their powers, but like on some level, like, is there a chance that the grass trekkers are just trying to get back to their normal forms?
Maybe.
It's been so long though, we don't know what we're doing it for anymore, just that we need the thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was a very interesting, there's an interesting dynamic here that if I were to revisit Ewoks in a as a almost 50-year-old and talk about doing the show again as a serious cartoon, this is something that I would most definitely explore.
Yeah, absolutely. So Endor is the name of the gas giant.
It is the
The
gas giant.
Ewoks call the gas giant Tana, but I couldn't find a canon name for the moon beyond like a numerical designation.
Or
which
the
is weird,
3244.
yeah. It's probably what the Empire called it.
You know, the Guppins refer to it as the Endorian grasslands.
The Endorian grasslands. Yeah, I think it's just for simplicity's sake, it's just easy that okay, the forest moon of Endor.
Right. Is literally can be interpreted both ways. It's the forest moon of Endor, the planet
That's
Endor,
true. Endor, the planet. Yeah.
It's, the
Punctuation
Earth moon
matters.
of moon.
It's all where you put the comma.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no comma. Oh, we're talking about it as
the difference between peeing in the pool and peeing into the pool.
So if I stand on the side and go over the top, I'm
not technically peeing.
I'm peeing
into the pool.
from the pool, in the pool, out of the pool. I don't know.
The glass is half full, but what's it full of?
As the
Water?
Emperor would
It's
say,
fine.
the sanctuary moon. Yes, the sanctuary moon.
Right.
All right, everybody. That has been our look back at Ewoks, Season 1, Episode 8, The Land of the Gupins. Where are we at here? Next week, we're getting into some of that. I think this is the last one with Morag. And it is it's probably going to be our background on Logray and Morag as we get into Sunstar versus Shadowstone. And as we know,
Force stuff going on there.
She's carrying the Shadowstone at the end of her staff. I'm sure we're going to get the background on how that came to be. And I'm looking forward to
this week. Watch a bit and think about kyber crystals while you're watching it.
Oh, really? Yeah, that makes sense though. I like that. All right. Let me just get this out of here before we. There we go. There you go.
There
he is.
Don't forget Tuesday nights. Andy and I are on for Random Fandom. This is a slower week this week, unlike last week.
Overflowed.
Yeah, it was overload as we had PulseCon to talk about. Although, again, the joke, what's another week without a Batman? That plays true again this week.
There you go, McFarlane.
Yeah. It was like Batman Celebration Day or something today.
Yeah, it was
Batman Day.
yesterday.
Yeah. So that
Day.
probably
was yesterday.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Which probably lends itself to why we're getting so many Batmans this week.
Yeah,
it could be. I saw a tweet from Mark Hamill that was just praising Kevin Conroy. That's what brought it to my awareness.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I saw some old footage of Kevin, probably from early Batman stuff.
Nice.
When Kevin was sporting a goatee.
Oh yeah, I remember those days. Oh yeah,
that's a while ago. So yeah, I did not participate in Batman Day.
Me neither.
No, I was too busy getting ready for my yard sale.
But I do want that new Barbie Harley Quinn.
There's the one we talked about last week.
Did we talk about them last week? Because there's a Poison Ivy as
Maybe
well. I thought
saw
they were announced strictly for Batman Day.
Oh, is it a Mattel thing?
I believe so.
An actual Barbie.
Ooh.
Okay. But
Their second Barbie.
You are a Harley Quinn fan, so
I am.
All right. I'm sure we'll have that and a whole lot more to talk about on Tuesday night. That is at 6 p.m. Eastern. Shout out to our friends over at Go Figure and Zazel's Clubhouse for all of the love and support that they have shown us over the last little bit. We continue to get shouted out over there for like the most innocuous stuff. So if you are finding us from either of those channels, thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
And please, if you have not heard of them, please do go check them out. I will make sure to include
content.
Their links.
Awesome.
In fact,
they are included in our show notes.
If you are watching on YouTube, they are in our recommended. So you can definitely find them that way. All right. Is there anything else that you guys would like to close on before we say goodnight?
Just a thought.
Yeah, of course.
Opposing that the grass trekkers were, mutated Gupins. Suppose it all came down to a neighborhood war.
A block war.
They lived in harmony until the grass trekkers needed to borrow a bag of oranges. And the Gupins said, and they got to the gate and they knocked on the gate. And dude looks over and he says, "Bugger off, we're busy." And that kicked off
there's
the
always
whole Gupin grass trekker war.
There's also the idea that they seem to be like hoarding whatever, magic or technology that keeps it not being a like everything inside their
paradise
thing is like paradise. And so it could be one of those things where they're hoarding paradise and maybe they're not the good guys necessarily.
That's such an interesting idea.
And one more thought. Did anybody else see like a parallel between our Gupins and the Gelflings from the Dark Crystal?
Oh, Gelfling.
Like we get Mring-Mring, who has no wings, and then Ubel, who just flies in, right?
Oh dear, yes.
And it's like, oh, you didn't get your wings. Whereas Gelflings, like boys don't get wings.
Well, and this just lends itself to that, like
who influenced who?
Yes, which franchise or property came first?
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear, wow, that's a good. I got to look that up.
Because even when the grass trekkers are walking, you kind of get that vibe when you're like a little Gelfling hiding in a corner as the Skeksis go marching by or something, right?
Dark Crystal's 84.
Around there.
So Joe Fan 84 says, I still have never seen the Dark Crystal.
Go watch that. And then go to Netflix
82
and watch
boys.
Dark Crystal.
82.
Oh,
so good.
It's really good.
Same year as Cull.
And then go to Netflix.
Krull.
Krull, sorry, Krull. Yeah,
Krull with the glaive.
The crazy glaive. Yeah,
awful.
But once you watch the Dark Crystal, go over to Netflix and watch Age of Resistance, because
unfortunately never to be continued. But
you know what? They start petitions to save the Acolyte or destroy the Acolyte. Why not one to get a season 2 of Age of Resistance?
It's pretty good.
I think that ship has sailed. They've done some stuff in like comic graphic novel form.
They have.
Such a good film. Good. Yeah. Gelfling, look like Gelfling, smell like Gelfling.
Please let me help you.
Good thing I didn't step in it.
Yeah, and some serious creep factor in that movie too.
Totally.
Oh, big time.
Crazy
big
good
time.
effect.
I
mean, yes,
they stripped the birds.
God damn.
Oh my god. Yeah, and then if you want to get weirded out, when you're done that, go watch Return to Oz.
Yes.
Because that's like nightmare fuel. That's what that is.
The bugs were nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch it now and you can see the performers' legs intertwined with all those
the beetle guard guys.
Yeah, but when I was a kid, holy crap, those things were scary.
I just read an article about
go ahead.
a TV writer who was like a heroin addict, and I can't remember the guy's name. There's a Ben Stiller movie from '98 about the guy, but he wrote an episode of Alf. And it was about the giant cockroach. Do you remember the giant cockroach episode of Alf? Where he like had PTSD and had to go to a therapist and stuff? I don't know how we're coming way off the rails now, but you guys mentioned like bugs and stuff. But apparently there's some heroin fueled like David Lynch style friggin' elf episode out there that I have to see now.
Maybe that's a future Tuesday night. We
Mhm.
just do a stream on like
Elf.
crazy movie plots
the tie-ins.
or
Like-
like bad villain nightmare fuel stuff.
Like the comic cover where he's positioned terribly behind a seal.
Who Alf?
Like
Yep.
Jason Schwartz or something. He went on to write like CSI. Like he recovered and
Okay.
became like
Really?
you know,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I just think of that
Pretty
episode
brilliant.
of Alf where he's holed up in a hotel room and he's fascinated with the toaster because it's a talking toaster. And he's like, he puts the 2 slices of bread in, pushes it down, toasting, and then ding, toast done. And then he picks up the phone. Yeah, room service? Yeah, it's room, whatever. Yeah, another dozen loaves of bread. Yeah, just leave them at the door like you did the last time. And there's like stacks of like toast everywhere.
Toast. Wick.
Toast down. Toasting. Hey, Willie, is this the most annoying sound ever? Oh, dear.
At least we're still on Aliens.
Yeah, I mean, your favorite Melmacian is
Mhm.
definitely an alien.
Yes, he is.
Ha!
An illegal
Alright.
alien who eats cats.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, that does it for this week's
Springfield.
episode of what is it that we're doing? Oh yeah, Tales from the Moon
of
of Fandor.
We just got random there.
Yeah, I know. Totally look forward to doing this again with you guys next Sunday night. As I said, tune in on Tuesdays for Random Fandom as we walk through some of this week's pop culture headlines and explore those. And
There,
of
there
course,
was an interesting development we have to cover on Tuesday about
Oh.
Diddy.
a new one,
Oh,
A little bit newer than what we had last week.
newer than what we talked. Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to that. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, guys. Remember, whatever your thing is, fan on. And as always, for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
I'm Hank.
We will see you on the next one. Bye for now, everybody.
Manamacho. Lupa, lupa. Gunda. Yep, yep. Manatuto. Siago ba fringawa. Gupa, lupa.